you're frustrated with life, but every good thing that comes your way, you reject it. Every good word that comes your way, you reject it, right? You're like, no, I'm not good enough. No, I don't have any talents. No, I don't have any skills. God doesn't even see me. God doesn't even hear me. I think he gave what he had to everybody. And when he got to me, he ran out, right? One of the first things that I want to encourage you to do today is stop speaking negatively over your life. Because God had done this lesson with me and my mind was blown. He said, you are not hoping, right? The Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen, right? And so whether or not we are believing for good or bad, or hoping for good or hoping for bad, we're hoping, right? And that's something God had to show me. I thought by not putting my expectation out there, by kind of staying in the background, I thought by not acknowledging it or not putting my hope that something would be good, it was protecting me from being disappointed. But the truth of the matter is, I kept on perpetuating the cycle of disappointment, the cycle of defeat over and over and again, every single time I didn't come into agreement with what the truth of what God says about me. Like I threw a tantrum. I wanted to buy a car, right? I threw this epic tantrum because I wanted to buy a car and I couldn't buy the car. And when I got home, I was mad at God. I was like, oh, I wanted to get that car so bad and you didn't let me get the car. Why? And he said, let me ask you a question. Do you even really love that brand? Did you even love the car, or did you want it because it was better than what you have? If money was no object, would you have even walked by that dealership? And nobody clocks your tea quite like the Lord, right? Nobody can set you straight quite like God. And I had to take a moment. I was like, yeah, you're right. It's better than what I have, but it's not even really what I want. And then God was like, what do you want? And I told him what I wanted. And he was like, okay, you'll get it, but you have to work for it. So for you, as you're navigating through whatever journey it is, know that don't settle for what's now because it's better. Because here's the scary thing that I had to learn, and that has stopped me from making rash decisions. Okay, it's better now. But what if settling for better now keeps me from great later? So on this particular occasion, my father says, I want to go back to Haiti. Me being the daddy's girl that I am, I bought my dad a plane ticket and sent him back to Haiti one day before the earthquake in Haiti. One. Then earthquake strikes. And if you remember this, Haiti was off the grid. We couldn't get nobody on the phone, right? It was just pitch black on TV. We couldn't get any information. This daddy's girl was freaking out, okay? And not only was I freaking out, I was feeling guilty, unnecessarily so, because I bought him the plane ticket. I didn't know, but I was like, God, if he dies, I'm just gonna be like, I sent him to his death. I'm dramatic, just, let's be clear. So I called my mom, and I was like, Mommy! And my mom was like, in true mother fashion, she said, be quiet. Get on your knees. I'm going to pray. And I got on my knees in my house. My mom said, God, you know your daughter's not ready for this. And she wasn't very fond of my dad at the time because he had done some stuff to her. But she said, save him for his daughter. And the Lord took my mom's prayer to word, and saved my dad. That night around 4:00 in the morning, I called my dad. And let me tell you, no sweeter voice I had ever heard than when my father picked up the phone. And nobody's allowed to call me this, but I'm going to say it so I can be authentic. He picked up the phone. He said, Lolo. And that's what my father called me. He said, Lolo, I'm okay. And guys, when I tell you, I wept on the phone that day because I was like, God, I'm so grateful to you, because there were people that couldn't get a hold of family members for weeks, for days. There's just no way I would have been able to be functional if I didn't hear from my dad. He said, I'm okay. Family's okay. He gave me a quick update, and then we lost communication, which was fine because I knew that he was fine. So right after that, I'm like, all right, I'm a planner, right? And I said, okay. The next time I got him on the phone, I said, all right, I know flights are not going out of Haiti. I'm going to buy you a plane ticket out of Santo Domingo. You coming back to me. My father, you know what my father said? No, I am a community leader. The people here look to me. What would I look like leaving them and come into a place of safety? Sir, what you would look like is your daughter needs you. Your child needs you. I need to know that you're okay. And he said, no, I'm not leaving. Because when the people need a reference point, I want to be that reference point. There was nothing that really fit my mom in the church ministry wise because of her health. She created her own. My mother would call people. If you didn't go to church on a Sunday, I promise you my mother would notice. If you missed 1 or 2 Sundays, and it didn't matter who it was, she didn't have like specific people, whether you were young, whether you were old, whether you were new, whether you had been at the church forever. If you weren't around, my mother would know. And she would get on the phone without telling the pastor, without telling anybody. She would just get on the phone. Hey, sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. Just want to make sure that you're okay. So my mother instilled in me the value of being in ministry because God called you to be in ministry, not because you wanted to be seen. Because we see so many people now that want to do it because the pastor is looking at them, right? We see so many people that are doing it now because they want recognition. A lot of the stuff my mom did, nobody even knew. I know because I'm her daughter. I know because I'm her child, but she didn't go to in front of a committee and says, you know what? I want to start a new ministry. She saw what needed to be done and she did it. And that's one of I remember one time I was praying and I was like, God, I bring you all of my inefficiencies and I need your help to get rid of them. And he said, you don't have no inefficiencies because when you have me, you don't have any inefficiencies because whatever seems wrong now is something that God is perfecting in me. Whatever seems like it's off, it's something that he, in his goodness, mercy, and his providence, is working out for my good. So it's not an inefficiency. It's not a loss. There are things that you have in you that you hate. But those very things that you have in you that you hate are those things that God is using to make you relevant in the season that you're in, right? There are things that I could not stand about myself. And God has shown those things to be valuable. Right? So whatever God has called you to do in this season, as crazy as it seems to the younger version of you, I feel like if the younger version of me was sitting across the room, she wouldn't even stay in the room because she'd be like, no way we're doing this. And she would run out of the room because she would be afraid that maybe, just maybe I'd call her in. And she'd be like, I wouldn't even do it. Right? So for you, there are things that God is calling you to do that seems inconceivable to your mind. And you're scared to do it because you're like, I don't know if I can be successful at this. Today, I want to remind you that your yes is the success. That's it. Are you willing to say yes to God today? Whatever it is that he's calling you to do. Are you willing to just say, God, I trust you enough to make this first step? Not having all of the pieces of the puzzle together, but I trust you enough to step out on this thing that you're telling me to do. If you could really see where you're at right now, you would be celebrating. He was like, if you really could see where you are right now, he was like, because even if you're in the wilderness, even if you're in this season where you feel like you're in the wilderness, first of all, it's worth celebration because you're out of Egypt. You're out of bondage. Wilderness is not great, but it's better than bondage, right? But better than that is wilderness is on the way to promised land. And so God was like, he's like, you're over here complaining about the wilderness, but you're on the way to promised land. So why are you
you complaining? He's like, you should be celebrating. This is why we need a season of dependency. Because if we don't have this season where we are learning God all over again, and sometimes we're not learning God all over again because we're coming out of bondage or we're coming out of the wilderness. We're learning God all over again because we're going to a new place. And when we get to this new place, our knowledge of God is going to be tested in a new way. You're so focused on the hardship that you don't have time to fellowship with God. Let's be honest. Like when I'm much, much, much better now because the Lord has done the work in me. But in times past, when things were hard, the first thing that suffered was my relationship with God. Because life is hard. Who has time, right? I'm going to share this quick story, kind of like explaining that. I remember when my first daughter was a newborn, she had an episode where she was having trouble breathing. Okay? She was having trouble breathing and I panicked. Of course, I panicked. I'm a new mom. My baby's having trouble breathing. I called the ambulance. Could not even talk. The guy had to tell me, I'm going to need you to breathe so you can tell me what's actually happening. So I took a breath and screamed, my baby's not breathing. Oh my God, he's not breathing. Okay. And the guy's like, okay, we're going to send an ambulance. I go to my mom. I was living with my mom at that time. I go to my mom and I'm doing the whole panic. And my mom said, did you pray? It was the most absurd thing to me at the time that my mother said, did you pray? And I'm just like, of course I didn't pray. I called an ambulance. And she was like, give me my granddaughter. She's like, my daughter in her hand, very calmly. She prayed over her. By the time the ambulance came, we got her in the ambulance. This girl let out the burp like a burp of the century. And she was perfectly fine. Before this Mastering the Flesh season, I would have blown up. I would have blown up. Why? Because the old version of me that says you're not seen, you're not heard, you're not valued, that voice would have been louder in my head than the voice of God. I would have succumbed to that voice and responded to that voice, right? That voice of, he doesn't see me. He doesn't care. He doesn't value me. In a season of mastering the flesh, and even in the season of dependency, what we get to learn is that there's a lot of things that we need to work on. There's a lot of responses that we have that we blame the other person on for. It's really a reflection of the internal turmoil on the inside of us, right? Before a season of mastering the flesh and learning to depend on God and having that kind of relationship with God, we just think the person is being annoying when the truth of the matter is it's that voice that's loud in your head that's lying to you saying this person doesn't care, this person doesn't value. We want to master the flesh. What I've learned is it starts with giving it to God. Giving the time frame to God. Giving the direction over to God. Allowing God to lead you, because sometimes you think you need to start a certain place. And if God is anything, he's effective. And and not only is he effective, but God is multifaceted, right? God could have me in this situation where I'm starting with my husband, but only later will I realize how starting with my husband trickles into so many different other areas of my life. And when you're tackling something like this that's very new, it's easy to get overwhelmed with the details. And I want to encourage you not to get so caught up on the details, but to really focus on God, because he's going to give you the direction. Where in your life have you left you out of the equation for whatever reason, right? For me, it was this innate desire to please everybody else, but not realizing that in me trying to please everybody else, I was literally running myself to the ground. And my desire to make everybody else happy, the unhappy person in the party was me. Where in your life can you relate to that? Where in your life does that resonate with you? And what can you do today to add you to the equation? So we're continuing on. As soon as God said, add yourself to the equation, I realized that the equation didn't work. And it gave me the courage that I needed to say, hey, listen, sis, I'm so grateful that you considered me and that you even put in a good word for me to get this position, but I'm not going to be able to stay. So I neglected me because I didn't think there was anything worthwhile in me. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to work on the people, and I'm going to work with the people that are worthwhile. And today I just want to tell you that you're worthwhile. It's worthwhile to work on you. It's worthwhile to take a moment to discover the gifts and the talents and the abilities that God has given you. When I allowed myself to get into this space with God, where I'm like, okay, God, not only am I deciding to trust you, not only am I deciding to, work with you on this journey of mastering the flesh, but also like, God, what have you given me? Who am I? When was the last time you sat down with God and really was like, God, who am I and what have you designed me to do? If you're like me, you may have spent a lot of your life going based upon what others have said. Or you may have gone based upon the lies that you have grown to believe is truth. Our job is not to track their progress. Our job is not to be out here. My father was a school teacher, and I used to always say my dad always has the proverbial red pen in his hand to correct. Our job in these relationships is not to have the proverbial red pen in our hand, and we're judging and we're checking off every single mistake and leaving ourselves unchecked, leaving ourselves unlooked at. Our job is to look to our own self and go and work with God so that God can change us. But oftentimes we're so busy in our triggers and our traumas, which are real. I'm not trying to negate the fact that we've been hurt. I'm not trying to negate the fact that people have done us wrong. I'm not trying to negate the fact that some of the stuff is real issues that really do need to be dealt with. However, when the focus is solely on the person, there's very little room for redemption. Why? Because I can't change my husband. I can't change the person that I'm having, that has triggered me. And again, the other thing God had to show me is this: I'm triggered. They didn't mean to trigger me. And a lot of the times the person doesn't know that they've triggered us, right? So if they didn't mean to do it and they don't know about it, how can they deal with it? How can they even begin to deal with what they're not aware of? What is it in me that attracts them to my yard? Because now that I know, first they were in, then they were outside. Now I don't even want it outside. What is it in me, Lord, that gives access for darkness to be roaming around in my proverbial yard? And that day, when that happened with my husband, God began to show me. He's like, see, it's those unhealed traumas that are undealt with that allows for room for the enemy to come in. It's those moments when we're not dealing with the flesh and we're letting the flesh run amok, right? That's what's giving access. Because I said, Daddy, listen, I want to live the victorious life. The life that you have for me is the life that I want to live. And how can I live that? And I love the way that God is, because he will show you those things in just such spectacular but simple ways. My mother's child, right? Oh, it's my mom. But if it's not something that's positive, it's not enough to just look at your child and be like, oh man, she got my attitude. Is that something we want to travel generationally, right? Is that something we want to leave as a heritage for the women in the family? We'll say things like this all the time. Oh, the prophet women, they're women that have temper. Or, the prophet women, they're women that have this, they're women that have that. Those things that are commendable, those things that are worthy, those things that are Christ-like, yes, Let's leave those things for them to enjoy generationally. But what about those things that are not so commendable? What about those things that are not so worthy? Let's not just, because sometimes we have realization of things, but not enough to do something about it. God was like, some of you just like your tears. Some of us just like our tears. Some of us just like holding onto that banner of victim. Some of us like to just keep reminding everybody that everybody ever has done us wrong. And we stay in that place for so long that without realizing it, now everything revolves around you. I remember preaching a message, and God was basically saying in that message that once we've gone through something, we have a responsibility to help others either not go through it or help them navigate out of it. But when we get to such a place where we're so focused on ourselves, our issues, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me, the sister, the brother, the friend that you are supposed to be pulling out of darkness into the marvelous light is drowning because we're so selfishly focused on ourselves. I just want to encourage us in this season, whatever season you find yourself in, where you may be praying for certain things and you're not getting the answer that you expected. Just because you're not getting the answer that you expected doesn't mean you're not getting the answer that you need. We serve a compassionate, merciful, loving God who really and truly does not play about us. And he does not play about our salvation. He does not play about our soul, and will do whatever he can in his all powerfulness to save us. And sometimes we think saving is on this side of the earth, right? Or on this side of heaven. But ultimately, God is saving to make sure that we get to the other side of heaven, right? From here to actual heaven. So be encouraged in this season as you're navigating through life and you're not getting the answers that you thought you would get. Ask the Lord, is it possible that the answers that you're getting is even better than what you thought it was? And one of the things that I've always struggled with, if I'm going to be completely and totally honest, is consistency. I remember the core lie in my mind about consistency is that I'll never be consistent. And I remember that I will go to events, I would go to conferences, I would read the Bible, I would study the Bible, but the core lie always stayed there, where I'm just like, even if I start and I'm obedient to what God has told me to do, I won't be able to keep it up. I'll start and I'll stop. And let's be honest, if I'm being fully honest, that was my pattern for such a long time. For such a long time, I would start strong, and then it would fizzle. I would stop. And I know sometimes when we want to be obedient to what God is telling us to do, those lies that have been in our minds for so long, they roar in our minds. They are screaming louder than the truth. And oftentimes it's so easy to believe the lie because we've been living with that lie for so long. Like, that lie has been our companion for as long as we can remember. It's almost as if that lie really is who we are. For you to be able to see what are some areas you've been struggling in or with. And when you see those areas that you've been struggling in or with, that can be a very big clue as to what you're purposed to do, right? Because the enemy attacks purpose. And some of us are in situations where we are in constant warfare. And we feel like we cannot get an inch, let alone a mile, because it's warfare on every single side. You turn this way, it's bad. You turn left, it's bad. You look forward, it's bad. Everywhere you go, it's bad, right? And so for me, I used to be so scared. And I don't want to engage in anything. I remember telling my friends I would support their endeavors as far as being entrepreneurs. Now, mind you, I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My dad never worked a day for anybody in his entire life. My grandma had her own business. My mom was doing her own business. My siblings have their own businesses. And my grandmother had her own business. Like, we have been an entrepreneurial family for such a long time. And then I find myself in a space where I'm just like, oh, I'll support my friend's dreams. Hey guys, oh, you want to open a business? Oh, that's amazing. How much money do you need for startup? Let me help you get the startup capital. Let me be in the background and I'll help you. And then there's another thing I want to tell you about purpose too, is what are you constantly surrounded with? Because a lot of us are not able to recognize certain things and you're frustrated.
Experiences that I should not have had, experiences that I've since regretted, but I did them anyways, because again, when you're a teenager, you think you know better. My mom is antiquated. My mom is old-fashioned. My mom is this. My mom is that. My mom doesn't understand. She doesn't get it. I have a niece who is 19 years old, and she literally calls me a dinosaur. I'm like, ma'am, are you serious right now, right? And so these kids are so out of touch with reality, and they think they got it all figured out. And I was one of those kids, right? And so as an adult, I said, you know what? I don't want these things done behind my back. Because for me as an adult, I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments where you think about you, but instead of you, you're picturing your child. Have you ever done this? I've had moments where I've literally intentionally sat down and walked through my high school experiences. And I mean, honestly, it wasn't like I was a horrible kid, but I definitely did some things that were not permitted in the Haitian household, right? And I'm thinking now, and I'm like, if my kids did these things, I feel like I'd be so heartbroken. The mistakes I did make is after I received that word, I didn't ask the Lord, how do I do it? Right? A lot of us hear from God, and then we get the instruction from the Lord, and then we do not go back to God to figure out how to implement what He's told us. And then we put in our heads how we think it should go. I mean, let me know if this is you. We put in our head how we think it should go. And then at the end of the year, when things don't happen, we grade it based upon what we established for ourselves, right? Now, I want to make sure this is crystal. God tells us something. And then instead of us going back to God and saying, hey, God, how do I implement this revelation that you've given me? We put in our mind, this is the way it should be done. And then we do it that way. Never really asking the Lord, hey, how should this be done? So as we go into the next year, the next month, let's be better, about asking the Lord, okay, God, you've shown me this. How do I bring it to pass, right? When we're praying for a thing and then we get to the place that we have the thing, if we're not careful, if we don't ask the Lord to put the right lenses on, we may not only miss it, but then we may not be grateful for the thing that we've been praying for. So in this season, as we're dwindling down, I want you to take a moment and really ask God, because sometimes we miss it. Sometimes we don't get it. And the good thing is God is so faithful that if we ask Him, He'll help us. I want you to ask God, what are some of the areas in my life that really I'm legit sitting in an answered prayer, but I'm so focused on the next thing, and I haven't even properly given you thanks for this place that I'm in right now.